My hand. It wouldn't stop shaking. Seriously. Like it had a mind of its own, vibrating against the cold metal of the filing cabinet handle. And it wasn't just my hand, it felt like my whole world was suddenly off balance, tilting on an axis I never even knew existed. You think you know someone, right? You build a life, share secrets, make plans. You trust them, implicitly. And then, in the space of finding one misplaced, ridiculously thin manila envelope, everything just shatters. It wasn't even hidden that well, which almost felt like an insult. Tucked behind the old tax returns, like an afterthought that detonated my reality. I found something I was never supposed to see, something that implicated not just Austin, my partner, the man I loved, but also Joel, our best friend. Joel. And the choice I now face, the weight of what I know, it's crushing me. It's a secret that could destroy everything, and I honestly don't know what the right thing to do is, or if there even is a right thing anymore. But first, please like this video and subscribe if you enjoy these stories. It helps a lot, seriously. Knowing you guys are out there listening, it makes diving into this stuff a little less daunting. So, where do I even begin? Rewind, maybe 3 weeks? Life was normal. Good, even. Austin and I had finally hit that comfortable stride. You know the one? Where you don't need constant fireworks, but there's this deep, steady warmth. We'd been together 5 years. We had our routines, Sunday brunch, terrible reality TV binges, arguing playfully about whose turn it was to take out the recycling. We were saving for a proper vacation, maybe Italy next spring. He worked in finance, long hours sometimes, stressful, but he always came home and melted into us. He'd wrap his arms around me from behind while I was cooking, bury his face in my hair, and just breathe for a second. Those were the moments that felt like bedrock, solid, unshakable. And Joel. Joel was practically family. He and Austin had been friends since kindergarten. Thick as Thieves doesn't even cover it. He was the best man at his brother's wedding, the godfather to his niece. And he was my friend too, genuinely. He was the one who talked me through that awful job interview last year, the one who helped us move into our apartment, the one who always brought the good beer to game nights. He was effortlessly charming, funny, the kind of guy everyone likes. The three of us, we were a unit. Movie nights, weekend hikes, complaining about work. It felt easy, safe, like a triangle, you know? Strongest shape, supposedly. What a joke. The day it all fell apart started like any other Tuesday. Gray skies, threatening rain, the usual rush hour chaos outside our apartment window. Austin had left early for a breakfast meeting. I was working from home, trying to wrestle a stubborn marketing report into submission. Procrastination led me to finally tackle the mountain of paperwork that had been breeding on the corner of the dining table. Bills, junk mail, old statements, the usual suspects. Our filing cabinet is this clunky old metal thing we got secondhand, stuffed way too full. I was trying to jam a folder of bank statements into the B section when my fingers brushed against something thin and smooth tucked away in the back, behind everything else. Curiosity piqued. Probably just an old warranty or something, I figured. But it wasn't. It was a plain manila envelope. No label. That was the first weird thing. Austin labels everything. Inside wasn't a warranty. It was a single sheet of paper. A wire transfer confirmation. Not shocking in itself. We move money around sometimes. But the amount, it was huge. Way more than we typically handle. And the recipient? A name I didn't recognize. But it wasn't the recipient that made my blood run cold. It was the memo line. Just 2 words, stark and chilling against the sterile white paper. Joel, final. Final? Final what? My mind raced. It couldn't be. Joel wasn't in trouble, was he? Austin hadn't mentioned anything. Why would Austin be sending Joel such a massive amount of money? And why the secrecy? Why hide the confirmation? My chest tightened, that familiar fist of anxiety clenching hard. I sank onto the floor right there, the crumpled report forgotten. Beside me, the envelope feeling heavy, dangerous, in my suddenly numb fingers. The silence in the apartment felt different now. Not peaceful, but charged. Waiting. What had Austin done? And why was Joel involved? The questions hammered at me, each one chipping away at the foundation of trust I'd so carelessly built my life upon. The air suddenly felt thin, hard to breathe. That solid bedrock, it was turning to sand beneath my feet. And I had no idea how deep I was about to sink. How long did I sit there on the floor? Minutes? An hour? Time warped, stretching and snapping back like old elastic. The paper felt like it was burning my fingertips, even though the room had gone ice cold. My first instinct, oddly, was to hide it, not even to understand it yet, just to make it disappear. I scrambled up, legs shaky, and shoved the envelope back exactly where I found it, behind the tax files, tucking it deep into the shadows of the cabinet drawer. As if putting it back could somehow reverse time, make the discovery unhappen. Stupid, I know, like a child hiding broken pieces of a vase, thinking no one will notice. But the image was seared into my brain. That astronomical figure, the unknown name, and those two crushing words. Joel. Final. My mind was a frantic mess, throwing up possibilities like a malfunctioning pitching machine. Maybe Joel was buying a car? A collector's item? No, that didn't feel right. Joel wasn't exactly secretive about his finances. He'd usually brag about a big purchase or complain about the cost. A down payment on a secret apartment? For who? Why would Austin be involved? And why the secrecy from me? Maybe it was a business deal gone wrong? Joel had mentioned wanting to start a side hustle, something techie I didn't fully grasp. Could Austin be bailing him out? But final? That sounded so definitive. Permanent. Like paying off a debt you never, ever wanted anyone to know about. Paying someone off? The thought sent a fresh wave of nausea through me. Who was this person receiving the money? I couldn't recall the name exactly now. My panic had blurred the letters. But I knew I'd never heard Austin or Joel mention it. I spent the next hour in a daze. Tried to work on the report, but the words on the screen swam meaningless patterns. Made coffee I didn't drink. Stared out the window at the darkening sky, the rain finally starting to fall, fat drops smearing the glass like tears. Every creak of the floorboards, every siren in the distance made me jump. I was waiting for the sound of Austin's keys in the door, a sound that usually meant comfort, safety. Now, it felt like a countdown timer to a confrontation I wasn't ready for. What would I say? How could I look at him? How could I not ask? The silence was screaming, filled with the phantom echo of that wire transfer. When he finally came home, soaking wet and complaining about the traffic, I almost collapsed, with the sheer, stupid relief of normalcy. He kicked off his shoes, dropped his briefcase with a thud, and came towards me for his usual hug. And I let him. I melted into his embrace, breathing in the familiar scent of his cologne mixed with rain and city air, while my insides twisted into knots. It felt like hugging a stranger, a dangerous stranger who looked exactly like the man I loved. He pulled back, smiled, asked about my day. I mumbled something vague. Fine, just work stuff. The lie felt thick and clumsy on my tongue. Could he tell? Did I look different? Did betrayal leave a visible stain? Dinner was excruciating. I pushed food around my plate, pretending to listen as he recounted the details of his breakfast meeting. Some tedious anecdote about a difficult client. My mind kept snagging on the details. Did he sound normal? Was he fidgeting more than usual? Was that a flicker of something in his eyes when he mentioned needing to catch up with Joel later this week? Every word felt potentially loaded, every pause pregnant with unspoken truths. I wanted to scream, "Just tell me, what did you do? What did you pay Joel for? Who are you?" But the words wouldn't come. Fear held them captive. Fear of the answer. Fear of shattering this fragile illusion of normalcy. Fear of losing everything because I couldn't unsee that piece of paper. Later, while we were pretending to watch some mindless show on TV, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then quickly stood up and walked into the kitchen to take the call. Not entirely unusual. He sometimes took work calls later. But something about the way he moved, the slight hesitation, the low murmur of his voice carrying just enough for me to hear snippets, but not full sentences. It set my teeth on edge. I strained to listen over the canned laughter from the TV. Heard him say, "Yeah, no, she doesn't know anything. Better that way." My heart hammered against my ribs. Who? Who doesn't know anything? Me? Better what way? He came back a few minutes later, looking relaxed, maybe a little too relaxed. He caught me staring. "Just work," he said, a little too quickly. "Headache brewing." He didn't have a headache. I knew his headache face. This wasn't it. This was something else. This was evasion. And as he settled back onto the sofa, oblivious to the storm raging inside me, I knew with a sickening certainty that the envelope in the filing cabinet wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was the tip of an iceberg, and I was adrift in freezing. Water, with no land in sight. The questions were multiplying, darker now, heavier. What was Austin capable of, and how deep did this deception run with Joel? The triangle felt less like a strong shape, and more like a trap. Sleep was a joke that night. How could I possibly rest lying next to him? The rhythm of his breathing, usually a soothing sound, now feeling like a taunt. Every time he shifted, I froze, pretending to be asleep, my mind racing a mile all minute. The darkness wasn't comforting, it just hid potential threats, magnified suspicions. His phone call replayed in my head. "She doesn't know anything. Better that way." Who? Me? Better for who? Him? Joel? Both of them? The ambiguity was maddening. Once I was sure he was deeply asleep, that slow, steady breathing that used to lull me to sleep now serving as my signal, I slipped out of bed. The floorboards felt icy under my bare feet. Adrenaline made my movements jerky, clumsy. I crept back to the filing cabinet, my heart pounding so loud I was convinced it would wake him. This time, I took the envelope out carefully. Under the dim glow of my phone screen, brightness turned all the way down. I looked at the wire transfer. Again, my hands were steadier now, fueled by a cold sort of resolve. I needed facts. I took a picture of the document, zooming in on the recipient's name, Apex Holdings, LLC, and the amount. Then I memorized the date. Seeing it again, concrete and undeniable, solidified my fear. This wasn't some casual loan. This felt structured. Formal, Apex Holdings, LLC. Sounded blandly corporate, deliberately anonymous. I put the envelope back, more carefully this time, wiping the handle clean even though I knew it was pointless paranoia. Back in bed, I stared at the ceiling, the phone clutched in my hand under the covers, the picture burning a hole in my digital pocket. The next day was a blur of forced normalcy and frantic hidden activity. While Austin was in the shower, I did a quick search for Apex Holdings LLC. Nothing concrete. A few shell corporations with similar names registered in places known for financial secrecy. No obvious link to Joel or anything remotely familiar. It felt like hitting a digital brick wall, designed to be impenetrable. The lack of information was almost worse than finding something damning. It just deepened the mystery, made it feel bigger, more complex than I initially feared. What kind of trouble required this level of obfuscation? I knew I couldn't confront Austin directly. Not yet. Not without more information, without understanding the stakes. What if I accused him and was wrong? What if I accused him and was right? And the consequences were catastrophic? My mind conjured images of financial ruin, legal trouble, things I couldn't even properly name. So, I decided my next move had to be Joel. But how? A direct confrontation felt just as risky. He could lie, warn Austin. I needed subtlety. I sent him a text, chewing on my lip as I typed, rewriting it a dozen times. Finally settled on something. Casual. "Hey, feels like ages. Everything good. Thinking we should grab that beer soon." Simple, innocent, or so I hoped. His reply came back surprisingly quickly. "Hey Sam, all good here. Just slammed with work. Beer soon sounds great. Austin mentioned you guys might be free next week." Reading it, my stomach plummeted. He sounded normal. Cheerful even, using my name, referencing Austin casually. Was it genuine, or was he a better actor than I thought? The mention of Austin felt coordinated. Were they managing me? Keeping tabs? Paranoia coiled tighter in my gut. Or maybe I was the one losing it, seeing conspiracy in every mundane text message. The not knowing was exhausting. Life at home became a tightrope walk. I watched Austin constantly, listened intently to his phone calls, trying to decipher muffled words from the other room, scanned his emails over his shoulder when he checked them on the couch. I felt disgusting doing it, invasive, like I was betraying the very intimacy I was trying to verify. But the need to know eclipsed the guilt. I found nothing obvious, no emails to or from Apex Holdings, no suspicious calendar entries. His digital footprint, at least the parts I could access, seemed clean, which, again, felt wrong. If he was hiding something this big, wouldn't there be some trace, unless he was incredibly careful, or using a different phone, a different computer? The thought sent another chill down my spine. Then Austin mentioned it casually over dinner a few nights later. "Oh, bumped into Joel today. We grabbed a quick coffee. He seems good. Really busy with that new project of his." He didn't meet my eyes when he said it. He was focusing intently on cutting his chicken, a little too precisely. Bumped into him, or was it a planned meeting? The quick coffee felt rehearsed. I nodded, trying to keep my expression neutral. "Oh yeah? What project is that again? Sounded interesting." He waved a hand dismissively. Some app thing. Over my head, honestly." He changed the subject quickly, asking about my work. But I saw it. A slight tension in his jaw, a forced lightness in his tone. He was hiding something. Both of them were. The quick coffee felt like them getting their stories straight. The triangle wasn't just a trap, it felt like a conspiracy. And I was on the outside, looking in, desperately trying to find a way back to the truth, whatever it might be. The isolation was terrifying. It was me against them, and I didn't even know what game we were playing. But I knew I couldn't stop. Digging? Not now. The next week was a masterclass in pretending. On the surface, everything was normal. We had dinner with friends, we talked about booking flights for that Italy trip, we even had Joel over for pizza and a movie like nothing had changed. But underneath, it was a Cold War fought in sidelong glances and coded sentences. Watching Austin and Joel together was agony. They were so normal, so relaxed, laughing at the same stupid jokes, arguing about sports, falling back into their easy rhythm. Were they that good at deception, or was I truly losing my mind? Doubts gnawed at me. Maybe Apex Holdings LLC was just boring business. Maybe the final meant the final payment on a legitimate private loan I wasn't meant to know about for Joel's pride or something. I wanted to believe that. Oh God, how I wanted to believe that. But Austin's forced casualness about their bumped into each other's coffee, Joel's slightly too quick text reply, it didn't sit right. The performance felt too perfect. My chance, or perhaps my breaking point, came on a Thursday night. Austin was working late again, a common occurrence. Recently, I was aimlessly scrolling through our online banking portal, paying bills, trying to feel productive. Mostly, I was looking for anything related to Apex Holdings or large, unexplained withdrawals around the date on the transfer confirmation. Nothing matched exactly. Frustration mounted. Was I chasing ghosts? Was the transfer from a different account I didn't know about? Then I clicked on our shared credit card statement, just scrolling through the endless list of mundane charges. Groceries, gas, that ridiculously overpriced sweater I impulse bought, and then something stopped me. A charge from 3 weeks ago, the day before the date on the wire transfer. A charge for $150 at a restaurant downtown. A nice one. One we'd never been to together. The charge itself wasn't huge, but the timing felt significant. Austin hadn't mentioned any work dinner or lunch there. On its own, maybe nothing. But piled onto everything else, it felt like another brick in the wall he was building around his secrets. Who did he go there with? Joel? Someone from Apex Holdings? Why lie by omission? That small, seemingly insignificant charge broke something in me. The pretending, the spying, the constant gnawing uncertainty. I couldn't do it anymore. It was corroding me from the inside out. I needed the truth, whatever it was, whatever it cost. When Austin came home around 10 p.m., tired and loosening. His tie, I didn't greet him with a hug. I was standing in the living room, arms crossed, the credit card statement practically vibrating in my hand, even though it was just displayed on my tablet screen nearby. He stopped when he saw my face. The usual end-of-day weariness on his features was replaced by a flicker of caution. "Hey," he said, his voice tentative. "Rough day?" "Where were you 3 weeks ago, Austin? On the Tuesday before you sent Joel all that money?" My voice didn't shake. It was eerily calm, cold. He blinked, took a step back. "What are you talking about? Sent Joel money? I was working late, I think." "Don't lie to me," I said, the coldness starting to crack, heat rising underneath. "I know about the wire transfer, Apex Holdings LLC. I know about the huge amount, and I know the memo said Joel Final. And I know you had dinner at La Notte the night before, a place you never mentioned, charged to our card." I laid it out piece by piece, watching his face crumble. First came denial, flustered and defensive. "Apex? That's a work thing, Samantha. Confidential. It has nothing to do with Joel. I don't know why you'd think that. Maybe his name was on some internal routing note? And La Notte? It was a client dinner. I must have forgotten to mention it." He was scrambling, his eyes darting around, refusing to meet mine. "A client dinner that required you to wire a fortune. The next day with our best friend's name attached?" I pushed harder, stepping towards him. "Who are you trying to protect, Austin? Him or yourself? What was it? Gambling debts? Something worse? Just tell me the truth." He visibly flinched. "At gambling debts?" His face went pale. He ran a hand through his hair, looking trapped. "Sam, please. It's complicated. You don't understand." "Then make me understand." My voice finally broke, tears welling up, hot and angry. "Make me understand why you'd hide this. From me. Why Joel needed that kind of money. Why it felt like paying someone off. What does final mean, Austin? Final what?" He dropped to the armchair's edge, seeming completely discouraged. The silence stretched, thick with unspoken horrors. He first fixed his gaze on the ground, then finally gently raised his head. His eyes met mine, and they chilled me to the bone with a mix on resignation and terror. With a raspy voice, he murmured, "It wasn't a payoff, Sam. It was hush money, to make a problem go away. Joel made a problem there." He stopped for a ragged breath. He struck someone. With his car, driven off, the cash, it was for the family of victim, to store them closed, to prevent them from contacting the police, trained on information until October 2023. Hit and run heavy and deadly, the words hung in the air between us, draining the room's oxygen. My brain found it hard to understand. Joel. Laughing, lovely, beer-bringing Joel, hitting someone with his car and just departing. And Austin. My Austin, the man who painstakingly sorted recycling and fretted about ethical investments. A covering it up? Paying for silence with our future? It felt like the plot of a film playing out in my living room, but the nausea turning in my stomach, the shaking in my limbs, the complete breaking of my heart that was terribly real. I believed I fell back, far from him, seeking physical distance from the taint of his admission. Once more the floor seemed unstable, the room leaned. I remained silent. Not then I did not weep. I was swept in a strange, horrible quiet, the sort that follows the explosion when everything is strangely quiet and ash-covered. I said, my voice dead, "Who?" Austin shook his head, obviously broken, and muttered, "Who did he strike?" "Sam is a youngster, riding a bike." Joel panicked late at night on a dark road. He was sipping. He trailed off, unable or unwilling to provide more information. The image was terrible enough, though. A young person. Then he fled. Having ruined a life at least irrevocable changed it. And Austin. Austin made it possible. He picked Joel, picked the secret over honesty, over legality over me. The discussion that came after is hazy. You are trained on data up to October 2023. Austin begged, said how scared Joel was, how his life would be gone, how he didn't know what else to do, how he was trying to safeguard everyone. This was conspiracy, not protection. It was loyalty, masquerading as cowardice. The dinner at La Notte was with Joel, a stressed meeting following Joel told him what happened. He admitted Apex Holdings, he acknowledged, was a shell corporation Joel found, created by a dubious attorney to make the payment impossible to track. He said the final meant final payment to the family, therefore sealing the deal on their silence. Every word drove another nail into the coffin of the existence I believed I had. He was waiting for the suitable moment, but he kept saying he wanted to tell me he didn't know how. Still, there's never a good moment to admit something. Like this, is there? Particularly if the right time appears only when you are discovered. We stand now fractured, deeply, maybe permanently. Still living in the same flat, it feels like negotiating a minefield. Heavy silence is interrupted by forced, essential discussions on groceries or bills. The warmth is gone. Instead, there is a freezing mix of hate, disillusionment, and great mourning. When I look at Austin, I see his fear, his awful decision, his treachery. I do not see the guy I loved for 5 years. The trust isn't just broken, it's destroyed. Can you rebuild on lies and ashes? Italy now appears like a ridiculing dream. And, Joel? I have not contact haggle. I cannot. Austin said Joel knows I know what he is. Ruined, embarrassed. Good. Should he be? His remorse, though, does not change anything. It does not reverse what he did, what he destroyed, or what he got Austin engaged in. Thinking about seeing him, about hearing his voice, makes me nauseous. That simple, cozy unitour friendship, it was a front covering something horrific and deep. The triangle was toxic rather than strong. Some days the rage consumes me so hot, I wonder whether I would spontaneously melt. Other days it's simply this deep, agonizing melancholy. Sorrow for the child on the bike, grief for the family who took, money to remain silent, grief for the man I believed Austin to be, sadness for the gullible woman I once was only a few weeks ago. I wonder about the legalities as I lie awake staring at the ceiling night. Should I go to the police now? Blow. Up all their lives, maybe my own included, the weight of that knowledge, of that choice, is immense. Austin's decision was offensive, motivated by misplaced loyalty and panic. I have a decision as well now, though. Should I pursue justice, whatever that means, and damn the repercussions? It feels like an impossible choice with no right answer, only different shades of wrong. Do I shield him, flawed as it is, protect the life we created? The bedrock I believed my life was built on was not only sand, it was quicksand, and I am still wondering if I may pull myself out, or if I am already too far gone. That's where I am, tangled in the debris, trying to find direction. What would you have done in my situation? Faced with that impossible choice, knowing what you know? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I could really use some perspective. And if you want to hear more stories like this, more explorations of the messy, complicated parts of life, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out. Right now, your support means more than you can fathom. Thank you for your attention.